Hello and welcome back to Big Trouble in Little Podcast. All of our friends. This is we're in the second month of March to the Beat. This is episode 315 and I'm Andy.
I'm Chaz. What's up?
I'm Dubs.
I'm Zach.
We're like I said, this is the second month. This is my pick. I chose 2002's Drumline because I hate myself and those around me. Last time I talked about how I chose this movie because you guys all chose like best picture winners, like Oscar bait, tour de force, performance of a lifetime movies. And I was like, no, it's enough. We gotta even this out with some nonsense. I've said for years I've said this is one of my least favorite movies ever made. And I thought watching it would be a real hoot. Maybe my opinion has changed. I guess we'll find out. But first of all, what did you like? Have you all seen this movie before? Or is this your first time seeing it?
I've seen it, obviously when I was in school, and then I just totally like memory hold it.
Oh yeah.
So this is my second time watching it, and it wasn't that bad. I was like going into a movie being like, oh, I'm gonna fucking hate this, goddamn it, Andy, and then I'm like. It was entertaining. It had all the fucking early 2000 tropes and shit. Where it's like
a product of its time for sure.
Yeah, so I was like, I rolled my eyes a little bit with that, but what really got me was the music. So the music was like actually pretty cool to watch. So I still hate Nick Cannon. I still think he's a terrible actor. But like. If anything, I actually like the guy, the leader of the band. I think he was more, he was a better actor than Nick Cannon.
Orlando Jones.
Yeah, whatever. The guy who like was like, you ain't nothing and go clean my drums and all that stuff. Like
Leonard Roberts, who I don't know if he's in any other movie. I mean, I'm sure he's in other movies, but I don't really remember him from any other movies.
And Dr. Lee, I remember him from the movie The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. But which, by the way, rest in peace, Gene Hackman. He did die today, and he was in the movie The Replacements. So it's kind of weird. I was like, holy shit, that's the guy from The Replacements. And I'm like, oh, fuck, Gene Hackman died.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, so you watched it.
Got him.
Yeah, you watched it today, so yeah. Orlando Jones, he was in a movie I really like, Evolution. You guys ever watched that movie?
Oh,
with the guy from fucking X-Files?
Yeah, the guy from David Duchovny's in it. Yeah, that movie is it's a guilty pleasure of mine. That's for a different thing, but yeah, this movie is something, man. I have watched this movie before as well, and please don't make me watch it again.
I've never seen it. This is the first time I saw it. And yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but I still kind of came away from it like,
yeah, that's the thing. A lot of the reasons I hate this movie, and of course I I kind of led you guys into being like, I hate this movie so much, or it's so terrible. Like it's more like personal. Like in 2002, I was in high school and in band, and it was just like a real obnoxious movie that like misrepresented a lot of stuff that, and, when you're in high school, you're an extra edgy little bitch about everything. So that didn't help. Though it did give. I remembered watching this movie, something I haven't thought about in years, and that is after this movie came out, everyone would always say, I'm the best drummer you got, because he says it in the movie, and it was basically a meme for like 3 years till I graduated high school. It was always a joke.
Yeah, this movie came out, when I was in middle school, but the movie was super popular, and this high school I went to didn't actually, like, it used to have a band, but there was such little support for it. They didn't really have a true band, or at least enough of one. It'd be like 7 people that might go out and play, and there's no actual like marching band thing at all. Like, it's just whatever. But this movie created a whole persona of guys who thought, oh, I'll just be Nick Cannon. So they came up with a Drumline. And when I say a Drumline, I don't mean the full band of like drummers. Like, you didn't have all the percussion. No, they just had like 10 people that wanted to go out there and smack on snare drums like they're fucking autistic. And that's what they would do, is they would go out and smack on snare drums like idiots and think it sounded cool.
Sounds like a drum line. Describing a drum line.
Yeah. And they all thought that, like, their entire personality was around that movie, and it was really obnoxious.
Now that's kind of the wrong takeaway from this movie. Like something I couldn't remember is he gets put in his place and kicked out of the band and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like if your takeaway was I'll be like that, then you didn't pay attention to the rest of the movie. Like I hate to say it, but I kind of like that. I like that he gets kicked out and then he stays out the whole movie, except for the very, very end. That's a lot of interesting restraint on the part of the writers for this movie.
Yeah,
I was gonna say like when I watched this, like about halfway through, I was like, this is just Top Gun, but it's drums. It's Top Run. It's Top Gun. That's what this is.
It's Top Gun, but nobody dies.
It's Sean Taylor is Iceman, and he doesn't approve of little Maverick Nick Cannon. And then like, yeah, the difference was he got fired out of the band.
Do you think? Oh, go ahead. Finish.
I was gonna say, yeah, he didn't really come back till the end. Then he got his little, but I'll be in the band for real next year, like that whole thing.
Soon.
Yeah. Do you think that someone that was writing this, like, or set in like some press thing, and they actually try to market it like that to someone? It's like, black people need a Top Gun. And they're like, let's make a Top Gun.
Maybe. I don't know. The thing is like the Top Gun formula is exactly what it's a formula, and there's like a lot of movies that are like that are just like about young people trying to be good in their field, and
they don't know how to work with others.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm the best, damn it. And it's like, well, it doesn't matter if you're the best if you can't be part of a team.
Right.
Exactly. But that trope gets, again, the writing for it, because it's so formulaic, it can be a little stale or corny. Actually, I would say, funny enough, because you mentioned how, like, personally you didn't like that they got so many things wrong about the band, but the attitude of the movie and some of the spectacle of the marching band stuff and everything, it gives just enough to still make it interesting, which would, if this formula can be so corny in a lot of ways. So I thought that in the movie itself, let's be honest, it still is a little corny.
It's just more than a little.
And yeah, it's a very early 2000s movie, so it's very corny for that way. But I feel like there are other ways it could have been worse. So like I can't say I wasn't at least a little interested in, because I haven't watched this since high school. I had no desire to or no need to, but yeah, there was something about it that was still at least like, okay, I want to see how this plays out, not like me, clawing my eyes out completely. But again, Zach nailed it. It's literally Top Gun formula laid out in something for young adults.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny that he brings up Zach brought up Top Gun, and now I'm thinking of like comparisons and stuff. Like when the guy tells him to do the solo, he's not engaging like Maverick can engage in the battle, and I'm just like, everything's adding up as far as that in my dumb brain. But this film, we were all pumping it up to be like, this is a shitty film, which, I mean, compared to what we're going to fucking watch or watched already, obviously this is the lowest as far as quality compared to all our picks.
There's no universe where this is anything but fourth at the end of this month. Like, I don't want to, ruin the fun, but the fun's going to be discussed in the other three movies.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I get that, but I walked out of this being like, it wasn't that bad. By the way, Zach said he'd be right back. He has to fix something real quick. He just private messaged me, so that's why he's not on camera if anybody's watching the video or doesn't hear him. But yeah, like I said, Nick Cannon was great. The chick who plays Gamora in Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like,
Zoe Saldana.
I did the Leo pointing at the screen thing of the meme, and I was like, hey, that's Gamora. And then I texted you guys on Facebook Messenger. What else about this? Oh, I got a question for you guys, and how Zach, it's more of a comedic question. Who would you rather have a beer with, Dr. Lee or Fletcher?
Oh, that's
I mean, I want to say Dr. Lee just immediately because it seems like it would be, less whatever. But in Whiplash, he has a beer with him and he's pretty chill. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right? That's actually kind of. I think both of them have like pretty interesting takes. It would be. They both seem like they would be interesting to talk to.
Yeah, because I was gonna do like a comedic joke, be like, who's a meanie more, Fletcher or Dr. Lee? But obviously Fletcher takes that by a fucking mile, compared to Dr. Lee, because Dr. Lee he's more of like a music snob compared. He did like, oh, you guys want to hear your LL Cool J and all that stuff.
Yeah, he's just like he's a boomer. He's just.
Yeah,
he's a whatever. Like he's a music teacher. It makes sense. I couldn't get over why their band camp is a basic training. It's bizarre. I mean, I wouldn't put it past at the collegiate level that they take that stuff that seriously. I'm sure some of that's legit, but it's still very bizarre to have in the middle of your movie.
Yeah, where they like
not even the middle, is at the start. Like they just immediately they start in boot camp, and it's like that. It does feel a little weird. It's like I get that you'd have to learn how to condition and stuff, but that's not. Listen, I've watched enough people that are in marching band. Not everybody is out there running miles and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. You got to be physically.
It's a different scene too, though, because this movie, it's bizarre that marching band is taken way, way, way more seriously in the American South for some reason, which is where this movie takes place, and they just have bigger budgets, bigger shows. It's a bigger deal, and I've never understood why. It's just a strange culture thing that they have in the South that we don't have elsewhere. It's strange.
To be fair, everything up north with college is never taken seriously, even sports. Like,
it's because they got professional teams, and they always have. In the South, it used to only be college, and now they have some professional teams. But I think collegiate sports was all the South and Appalachia and the Midwest had, and that's why it's big in all those places.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now again, now how different is it now anyway? Because athletes in college now get paid. It's now sometimes more beneficial for an athlete to stay in college to get paid more money than they would if they went into sport, join a practice team.
The lines are very blurred at this point, but
we digress, right?
There's no major league for Drumline though, so. Unless you count Drum and Bugle Corps, which some, I guess, would.
Yeah.
If you like the music in this movie, go watch some drum corps stuff. Man, it's cool. I love it.
Mm. And they're rival school. They tried to do this. Dr. Lee kept on saying, "Oh, we're a band, and those are just musicians and stuff that are just playing a song or whatever." And I was just like, well, people kind of like what they're doing,
yeah.
And I think that's why Dr. Lee kind of opened up a little bit of doing the, the old school with the new school to kind of
Well, that's what's his job. Is it to entertain or to educate?
Yeah,
edutainment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was trying to figure out that. Man. He's trying to learn the line of when do I compromise and decide, okay, it's okay that we play things from a newer generation, but clearly he still had some reservations to just outright, oh, let's just do things just to entertain. And then, of course, they have the little plug where, oh, well, he was actually mentored by the guy that is running the other
villain.
school. That part almost reminds me of those really stereotypical 80s ski movies where there's the cool guy that has all the best gear and you have to challenge him down the hill at the end.
The only reason I know about all those is South Park.
Yeah. Montage. No, that's what it reminded me of. And they, of course, went over the top and brought in a rapper who funny enough, now currently still resides in a prison in West Virginia.
Nice.
Who was that guy? I didn't recognize him at all.
Yeah, they announced it, but I couldn't hear.
Oh, P.D. Pablo? Yeah, he's Pablo. He was famous for the song about North Carolina. Take your shirt off, twist around your head, spin it like a helicopter. That was really big right at the time this movie came out. And then he had another song later that was about all the women he had sex with. And then he went to prison. And he's been in prison for a decade now. He's been in prison a long time. Yeah, I don't remember what he went to prison for, but Although honestly, he might be out now. I don't know. That's neither here nor there. But the whole point is they bring in a celebrity to like be a part of their show, which kind of just steps on the whole thing of what are they actually doing here? They're just trying to put some, it's all, what's the word? All sizzle, no steak.
It's all flash.
Yeah, just they're all flash.
Mm-hmm. The funny part of this movie is one of the friends is like acting weird throughout the whole movie. He's eating hamburgers, like
Quickly.
Starving.
What is the point of that whole subplot? What does that add to the movie? Like after they come across the weird like Bohemian Grove bullshit where they're like indoctrinating him, and then he's like, I'm in the fraternity, and they're like, oh yeah, awesome. Why? What did that provide to the movie at all?
I don't know, but my favorite part is the white kid just saying, "Is he part of the black KKK?" And I just like
they dress in robes like the black KKK.
But and they started talking about like making love to the drums. They like 2 times they said that. The Dr. Lee says it, and then fucking Nick Cannon tells it to the white kid because the white kid's like dancing weird with the drum and stuff.
He doesn't know how to play a bass drum or tune it.
That was really funny because that whole subplot was about how he couldn't play with everybody like well enough, so he got like put back in the 3rd tier or whatever the hell they call that.
He got 8-miled. He is white, so he had to improve himself.
That's true.
And he's like, "You just did that because I'm white," like, which is funny. But like, he said something earlier in the movie before they started all their like military training to be in the band and shit. That the high school where I came from, they had military precision and shit. This guy's like fucking playing the drum like he's trying to fuck it or something.
Well, that's what he has to do to fit in here. He has to change it around. Like that's part of what was always obnoxious about this movie is they're doing all the stupid like moving around and dancing stuff. Like just in regular Drumline, you don't do that. You just play the drums.
Well, they showed that the other guy didn't really move like that though in that scene, and he was like all over the place and shit. And he was like swaying and everything. And then
that's what makes you a winner, I guess.
And it was worse the second time. Like,
oh yeah,
whatever.
I hate this matters very little, but this is indicative of like what made me hate this movie so much is the technique that they use to play most of the drums is fairly legit, except the bass drums. For some reason, they like move their arm way up like this and then hit it. That's wrong. You're just supposed to just pivot your wrists. They do that throughout the movie too. There's a lot of shots that are like close-ups of someone's face, like Nick Cannon's face, and you could tell he's like, oh, he like grits his teeth. I'm gonna drum even harder, and like does a thing with his shoulder. No, hitting the drum harder doesn't make it sound cooler. That's not what it's about. It's like the dumbest, stupidest screenwriting thing that you could have possibly put in this movie. But there are times when it shows hands and you can tell it's like stunt doubles. It's like people who legit know how to play snare drum, and they're doing really well. So I don't know. It's that thing where if you know what you're looking at, it's painful to watch.
You see all the holes. Yeah.
I say if a drummer's doing the right thing, it almost at least in my experience of watching people play drums and what I've aspired to try to learn from is it's a drummer that looks like he's almost not moving. He's doing nothing but making all the noise.
Yeah, it's not like you're using some muscles up here, but it's like all this. It's just your forearm and your wrist and your palm. These are the muscles that you're playing drums with.
It's like jerking off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If you're a masturbator, you're a master percussionist.
There it is.
Explains a lot.
Here's a plot that I guess does get like a payoff where it shows like Nick Cannon's character is like grown up essentially. The Homecoming, where he's like staring at this fat dude the whole time, and the fat dude's staring at him, and he goes to play his drums, and the dude like tries to kill him with his own drum.
Yeah, what the hell? Why? What is his problem?
And then like at the end, the rival team literally plays with all their drums, and I guess they don't care. I was like, I guess that fat guy was just annoyed that
No, they do. They care a lot, but they know that's the whole thing. Is it's actually a very important part of the movie. Is before he's reckless and he does that, and it's supposed to be a disrespect thing, and like I can see that. If two people faced off like that and you did
He's
that,
buzzing the tower like Maverick.
it's like spit in someone's face. So whenever they do it to him, it's important to note that they did that because they're the villain team, and they are aware that he did that at that other school, and they stole his move. So they're all aware of it, and they're gritting their teeth. They even show the things where he's like gripping the sticks a little harder because he knows if he does some type of move, he's throwing all they worked for away if they were to like jump them and hit them or anything. So instead, they hold back and they do their thing, and that's that.
They're using discipline too.
It's one of the few things like he learned discipline, he learned restraint. It's actually a big deal because he's not the reckless hotshot anymore.
At the end, they come back and when they finish the solo, they point the sticks in the face of the other guys, and then they aren't supposed to flinch. Like it's more of the same like stupid haka bullshit or whatever.
They literally were like, because I don't know when these movies came out in relation to some of those other dance movies, but it reminds me of that just giant glob of all these like dance movies that came out that were like, was it Stomp the Yard and what's the other movie? Step Up. Thank you. Like,
it's funny because Dub said when he finished it tried to play Stomp the Yard. When I finished it just now on Hulu, it tried to play Step Up.
That's the Step Up is what came up for me. And also when I watched it, the genre of movie was Black experience. That's what the genre of movie was for.
I guess it's a black movie. Like it kind of has a weird identity thing going on. Like it feels like a black movie, but I mean, I guess it's a black movie. I don't know.
Okay, it feels like again a somewhat generic plot line that is definitely got some corny tropes that happens to involve black people, and the thing that makes it most interesting is they tie in some culture, at least within that time period, and that's about it. But otherwise, it's just kind of like a corny movie. It's what I kind of hate about it is it's listed as a black experience. Like not really. Like, I mean, you could take this movie and just literally copy and paste the plot, plug in other interests, plug in another culture.
That's definitely what they did.
I mean,
like the two writers for this are both hacks. I looked it up. They haven't written anything else of relevance. They were at like a college football game and they saw a marching band and they thought, oh, I can do something with this. And they also had the Top Gun formula, like Zach said, in their mind. And they just plugged all this shit in. You can tell because there's a bunch of stuff in it that is completely disingenuous to the Drumline experience. And then there's dumb shit like, what's his flaw? He can't read music. I got news for you. Learning to read music is not that hard. It's pretty easy. If music was genuinely his passion, he would have just picked it up through osmosis through high school, for sure.
Yeah.
If he was just in band, he would just learn how to read quarter notes and eighth notes and 16th notes. It's simple.
But it also is like almost like a disingenuous, like racist thing of, oh, let's make the kid from Harlem, the black kid from Harlem can't read music. Like that's kind of what that comes off as. It'd be like if the whatever skill or whatever the focus of this movie was on was about actual reading, and they said, oh, the person couldn't read, but they were doing all of these things that were related to needing to be able to read or just anything else in that way. And I get it. They tried to come up with something that would make sense, like a crucial thing that you need in order to excel at this skill, over encompassing ability. But you find a way to overcome it. But it doesn't fit, like you said. It really does feel like they took another movie that came up around this time that was almost a comedy, but has a very similar, almost identical formula, is the movie Bring It On, the cheerleading movie.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of.
It's the same thing. Like, let's just put the same thing in.
Yep.
It's dumb, but it is what it is. And like you said, these are like, they just made these things these are popcorn flicks for, usually more for kids. They're for teenagers. That's what they're there for. And I mean, it was a fairly successful movie. People liked it.
It made money. It's got a soundtrack that I guess would be popular at the time. And yeah, it must have done fine.
People played the fuck out of that song, Tear It Up. I can't remember who all the people that are in that song. DMX is in it. That's all I remember. But yeah, that song was super popular when I was in school. Like people played it all the time or play it at football games. Yeah.
It's this movie, like it's I
Come
still
on,
think
come on.
I still think it's okay, but like now that we talk about it, it's like making me mad.
No, this movie sucks. This movie
Yeah.
sucks. Like, honestly, what I queued you all up for Manos Hands of Fate, and when it wasn't that, you were like, "Oh, this isn't so bad." And now that you're remembering that other movies exist, now that you're thinking about Whiplash or Return of the King or Rocky or whatever, you're like, "Oh, wait, this movie does fucking suck. I hate this movie."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. This movie, like I can easily. I don't want to say easily.
Are you ever going to watch it again?
No, but
Are you ever going to recommend it to anyone?
Only for band cards.
I don't even know if
they'll hate it more than anyone. I told you that.
I'm not really going to recommend it to anybody. Okay.
Well, then what value does it have?
Okay, sure, but there are other movies that I think fall into that same category that we've watched. Like I would recommend this more than other movies that we've watched just on the show. Not to mention other movies I've just watched that also suck. But this movie is very, very bland. Like it is struggling to maybe be a 5 out of 10 movie. Like in my opinion, it's pretty mediocre. And I could get why a very stale like mediocre movie could easily be someone's least favorite movie. It is not my least favorite movie, but it's definitely a movie that I feel like is just not very memorable. I don't care about it. At least the memories I have are not pleasant.
Here's the thing: like, if it was on Showtime and there's like no other movie that I'm able to watch or something, I'll keep it on in the background, like because it doesn't deserve my attention. But I wasn't insulted by it because one, I'm not a drummer. I'm not a musician in any way, so it didn't affect me that way. The only thing that affected me was Nick Cannon. And like I said, he's the prototype of Michael B. Jordan without the talent. And there was like a fork in the road for Nick Cannon. It was either do Creed. I know he probably didn't get known to do Creed. I'm just saying, like, for my Michael B. Jordan joke, is that he either goes to be Creed or goes marry a fucking washed up Mariah Carey, and that's what he did. He fucking dated Mariah Carey.
I was gonna joke, hey, when are we gonna do Nick Cannon month? But like, what the fuck other movies did he do? He just like hosted the Kids' Choice Awards and then was like a bit part in 6 movies, and now he's a joke.
Yeah. I mean, that was kind of his thing. He's done a lot of hosting. Like he did the thing where he did a handful of movies and was famous enough for that. He had like his own TV show because he had that comedian Wild 'N Out show that was pretty popular.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, that in all fairness, that show had like one of the more fun things that I used to do with friends all the time, but we just took it to like the next level because we weren't censored by TV networks. But it was like to basically sit around and like just slam rap each other, where someone like drops a beat or something, and you just like say the most insulting thing in rhyming 2 bars that you can about someone, and just just pass around and do that, and like friendships were lost over that. It was fucking hilarious in high school, but that and it was inspired by that show. Like that's comedians were ripping each other, and it was pretty funny. But aside from that, like he then moved on and just hosted a series of things and just made a lot of babies with various women, including Mariah Carey.
The
Christmas Godzilla. I mean, he made children with Christmas Godzilla. No one can take that away from him.
He's the Genghis Khan of Hollywood.
He's BET's Elon Musk minus the money. I actually kind of close, but that's a little racist to say. I probably shouldn't say that. He's probably a little smarter than Elon Musk.
I checked his filmography just now. There's a sequel to this movie. It was released.
Oh, is he in it?
Yeah, he's in it. It's the same character and everything.
That's embarrassing. He stooped to being in the sequel to this movie.
Well, here's the thing.
2014.
Yeah, here's the thing. I like when he got kicked out of the band, and then like when Dr. Lee says you'll get him next season, I'm like, they're gonna do a sequel. And I was correct.
Yeah, but they did it 12 years later.
Yeah,
I assume he's a band director or something.
I'm checking. I'm reading it right now.
It recommended it to me when I like told the Amazon Fire Stick I want to watch Drumline. Here's how obscure this movie is, though. The metadata for it is fucked up on Hulu. And if you click into Hulu, it shows you the right thing. But if you search for it on Amazon and Hulu brings it up, it shows a Spanish movie and the wrong title, but the splash image is Drumline. And then the description is in Spanish. And if you click into it, Hulu goes, oh, wait, what? And then it takes you to Drumline. Like, it's fucked up, and presumably no one has fixed it in a long time because no one cares. No one's watching this piece of shit except us.
You found a glitch in the Matrix.
I guess so.
I don't have anything.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I have nothing else to say about this movie because it's so trope heavy.
Honestly, we had more to say about it than I thought we would find. I'm impressed.
Would you think it was gonna be like a 10-minute talk and be like, this movie sucks?
I was gonna drop the stuff about the technique being bad, and we were gonna talk about Nick Cannon being bad, and that was kind of the music's fine, and then we were gonna move on. But I kind of turned a corner with this movie. I still fucking hate it, but it's not my least favorite movie, I guess. Like, it has a few moments that are fine. It's really stupid, and I feel like it was added only to, and I'm not saying this to be racist, I swear to God, but I feel like they only added this to like appeal to the make it a black movie. But he does that thing where he goes to his estranged father, like the guy who walked out, and he's like, I was thinking about giving you this ticket to my graduation, but I decided not to because you can go fuck yourself. Like, I laughed at that scene. I don't know if I was supposed to laugh at it, but I thought it was really interesting. It's like, oh wait, that's his dad, and he's like smack talking into his face, and then he leaves and goes to college. Like, that's pretty cool.
That scene is unrealistic, by the way, because there's nobody yelling it behind him. You're like, oh, hurry the fuck up, man! I need my fucking ticket.
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
Realistic part that they're not giving him shit for that, but it's funny though, because that does come back later. Like, his dad kind of feels bad because, like, they give you just enough for you to put the pieces together. His dad chose, being a musician as opposed to being a father, but then he still feels kind of like this attachment. So he sends him stuff and says, hope you get some stuff. And then he's inspired by what he heard his dad play and his funk music to, like, then that helps him kind of grow a little more as he's in, like, his slump. It's just a weird thing, but, like, those are kind of nice things. Like, I get that. Like, that's the thing. This movie weirdly has some stuff that if they would have focused more on it, or there could have been a little more love to this movie, and it could have been a pretty decent to good movie, but because it's not, it's very bland. But it does give you some moments that stick out.
It's kind of a shame they didn't, like, make his father, like, is dead or something, and he discovers his music, or like his mother's like, I was hiding this from you for some, like his dad overdosed on heroin or something, like something musicians do, and like he gets that music and he's like, oh man, this is pretty cool, and then he transposes that into a cadence or whatever he does. I don't know. There could have been something there, but also on the other hand, they could have just not made this movie.
No. Yeah, it is what it is.
But yeah, I'd never recommend anyone to watch it. And personally, I've closed the book on Drumline. I will never watch this movie again. If it's on TV, I'll leave the room. I'll go read a book.
Wow, he would rather read.
Damn.
And there you have it, folks.
What about you
guys?
Yeah, this movie, I mean, I've already kind of said my part. This movie's real mid. I'm never going to recommend it to anybody.
There you go.
I have no intention of watching it again.
Dubs, who you recommended this movie to?
Mariah Carey and all his children.
Wait, did you say Mariah Carey's a band?
No, I said Mariah Carey and all his children. Meaning
Nick Cannon's children.
Yeah.
They've probably seen it. They probably saw it and they're like embarrassed.
He's showing that on repeat to them. This was my best movie, my greatest achievement.
This is what made Daddy.
Do you guys want to hear my Mandela effect?
Sure.
For the longest time, I thought Nick Cannon was in the movie Holes with Shia LaBeouf, whatever his fucking name is. It was just, this is gonna sound racist. It's another black kid.
No! I gotta look his name up because there's a relevant story to that. It's such a hilarious thing in fighting games. The guy that plays that character Zero in Holes the actor. Oh shit, what's his name? I'm looking it up. Oh, Cleo Thomas. He's actually a really good like competitive fighting game like competitor,
That's
and
fine.
he went to a really massive competition. This happened within the last couple of years, and won a Mortal Kombat tournament. I think it was still in Mortal Kombat 11 was the game, not the newest one. And he won it dressed up as Powerline from a Goofy movie.
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah!
It's like the most random. Like it was a tweet that came out. It was like tweet of the day, most random thing you could never have guessed or predicted on your bingo card. Former actor wins Mortal Kombat tournament dressed as Powerline. It's like what? There's all these things. It's like it's pretty neat. But yeah,
Weird Mad Lib.
it really is. But guys, pretty fucking good at fighting games. So there's that.
All right, Zach, wrap it up.
Yeah, it's pretty meh. I've definitely seen worse movies than this. I have a lot of experience watching bad movies. There's a lot worse, but that doesn't give it a pass either. So it's just kind of like boring and like honestly, what did I do? I paused it at one point and I was like, how much more do I got? And it was an hour more, and I was like, fuck.
This movie's too long. It is 2 hours. It should be no more than an hour and like 25 minutes.
Yeah, it should have been like a 90-minute movie. And like I was like, okay, so I kind of like resettled myself, and then like when it was getting to the end of the movie, I'm like, god damn it, like they're just like fucking 3/4 of this movie is just drum shit. Like there's not enough character shit.
That's the only good parts.
I'm not. The one thing to take away from this movie, I really want to watch Evolution again, or just something else with Orlando Brown in it. I like him, or Orlando Jones. Let's see Brown.
But
I almost said Orlando Bloom. Yeah.
Question to Andy and Zach, since they reviewed this movie on our show. What is more bad, Drumline or Suburban Commando?
Drumline.
Suburban Commando.
Oh damn. Well, give us your tiebreaker, because I've not watched Suburban Commando. I have no dog in this fight.
I love Suburban Commando, so
Suburban Commando at least surprised me once in a while. Drumline was just toast. It was just boring. There was nothing there.
Like if you told me like you have to watch one of these though, I am gonna pick Suburban Commando.
Same.
It's a worse movie. That's why though.
Yeah, maybe I agree with Zach then. Maybe it's something like that for me, but
I mean, it goes back to that whole thing. Like, there is something to be said about movies that fall in that, like, if you go about a 10-point scale, if you fall in that 4 to 5 category, you are less likely to be put in the recommendable spot than you would a movie that's a 2 or a 3. Because sometimes you're so bad, it's a spectacle everyone needs to see. This movie is just, like you said, it is unbuttered toast.
Yeah, just toast.
Well, there you have it. That's going to be number 4 on March to the Beat for sure. But at least I didn't choose another Oscar bait freaking jerk off movie. Come on now, give me some credit.
That's not why I picked what I picked. I picked what I picked because I never saw it before.
You picked my pick.
Well, we both talked about it. He was like, I was thinking about picking that movie. He's like, yeah, me too. And then I was like, maybe I'll just pick it so I can make your job easier.
All right, so I can choose Drumline. Zach, what are we watching next week?
Amadeus from 1984.
Rock Me Amadeus. No, not that. Or just regular Amadeus.
No. Yeah, it's just plain old regular Amadeus.
I actually rewatched this movie less than a year ago, but it's so good. I'm like, I can't wait to watch Amadeus again. I love this movie.
I've never seen this movie.
I feel like we're a little robbed. Like, we could have watched Spinal Tap, but you made us watch Drumline. And now
I did. Spinal Tap was like on my list. It was like Spinal Tap, Sound of Metal, and there was something else I feel like I eliminated. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. But I thought it would be funnier to watch Drumline, so here we are.
I'm going to watch this. Spinal Tap is my tombstone this month. It's my extra credit.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. I might do that.
All right, I have no ads, so we're going straight into...
What have we been watching, playing, doing, etc.? Well, technically, I'm supposed to go first. I don't want to go first every single week, but I'll go first this time, and then
we can go reverse order.
No. I already said it.
Fine. Do whatever you want. Damn, bitch about it, and it's not. I don't want to do that. Whatever you want, Raphael. It's fine. There's 4 of us. We all have personalities.
I played a bunch of games. I played and beat Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. It's just been sitting on my desk in my analog pocket. So I've been like plinking away at it. And one weekend I didn't have anything else to do, so I sat here and played a whole bunch of it and beat it. It's just Super Mario Brothers, but it's like a little cleaner looking. Yeah, there it is. He's got it too. Yeah. All the cool kids got Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy Color. They did. Some of the coolest parts about it are how they got around the limitations of the Game Boy Color. Like, if you hit the D-pad when you're standing up or down, it'll move the camera so you can see around because, you know, there's not as much draw distance. And there's, like, other little tweaks that you could, like, I feel like I'm looking over the shoulder of a game designer, like, figuring out how to make this work on the Game Boy Color. It's interesting. It's an interesting game to play. And it's Super Mario Brothers. It's kind of like, you know, video game design 101 or whatever. It's a fun game, whatever. Then I played and beat Jumping Flash 1. Now, I played a ton of Jumping Flash 2, so much that I made a video about it 9 years ago. I looked it up. It was 9 years ago that video came out. But I'd never played and beat 1. I rented it a few times, never really got around to beating it, and I got really frustrated when I was beating it this time because it does the same thing the second one does, but less gracefully. In both Jumping Flash 1 and 2, there are 6 worlds, each with 3 stages, and you beat all of them, and at the end, it says, okay, now to get the real ending, you gotta do it again. I fucking hate when games do that, but at least in the second one, they do something where, like, each level is at a different time of day, the enemies are different, or increased difficulty, and they move all the collectibles. Well, in 1, they only moved the collectibles. That's it. So you're literally playing the exact same game again, except now you don't know where anything is. That's stupid.
It's even more annoying.
It's even more annoying. But I was like, God damn it, I'm gonna get a complete on this game. There's not gonna be any reason for me to look back and be like, oh man, I didn't quite complete Jumping Flash. No, I did it all, man. I did it. I got the true ending. I got the good credit roll, and I got the secret post-credit scene. So, but still, the game is fun as hell. Like, play it and just don't get hung up on getting the complete. Oh, you know what? Fuck that. Just play Jumping Flash 2. It's better in every way.
Now you just gotta play 3.
I tried. I imported it from Japan, and 3 is weird. It doesn't have the same structure. It's like a world map, and there's lots of little spots where little text bubbles are coming up. Presumably they're saying help or something like that. They're in Japanese. I don't know. And you go to them, and there's like someone there, like a little boy will be like, oh, watashi dashe, he'll say a bunch of stuff, and he's asking you to do something in the level specific. It's like, oh, collect this things, or kill all the some things, or get to the top of the mountain, or something like that. And I mean, I guess I can look up a translation like on GameFAQs or something, or use Google Translate on my phone. But it was like, this is tedious. I can't do this. And that's actually why I played the first one, because I tried to play the third one because I just finally got it from Japan. And I was like, oh, I'm in over my head. I didn't realize how much reading was going to be in a Jumping Flash game. That being said, I'm only missing Pocket Moo Moo, and I'll have the whole series of Jumping Flash. That's it. It ended after that. After that, I played and beat Firewatch. Have you guys ever played Firewatch?
Mm-hmm.
Dubs has played Firewatch.
I'm familiar with it a little. I don't know spoilers, but I know a little bit.
I'm not going to spoil it because it's a beautiful game. I loved playing it. It's short and sweet. Like, here, my only real problem with it is it's $20. It's like 5 hours long. Maybe wait for a sale.
Yeah, I paid it when it was full price. Oh.
Me too. But if you have Xbox Game Pass, you have it for free. And if you have, I think it's on the PlayStation thing too. Like, it's on most of the passes that you can get.
Cool.
But I mean, the game's a work of art. It's probably worth $20, but honestly, if you can get it for less, do that. I still recommend it so incredibly highly. It's interesting because I started it about a year ago. I do this thing, a hit list of games, and it's a list of games I've been meaning to play. And friends pick a game on it that they passionately want me to play. One of my buddies chose this game for me. I started it like a year and a half ago, and I only played it for like an hour or less. And I told him, I see what it's doing. I thought it was going to do like some stupid. I mean, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I thought it was going to do something that was like all the dumb indie Steam games that are like, oh, are you crazy or are you not? Oh, we're trying to trick you. And I was like, I see what it's doing, and my friend was like, I don't think you do. And then I like waited a long time, and I was finally like, I'm gonna play and beat Firewatch just to make him happy. And I got 2 hours in the game, and I was like, oh, hold on a second, this is like a mystery game. Like this is exciting, and like it's such a cool game. Like it tricked me a lot, and not just like the swerve on what it was going to be, but it swerves me several times. Yes. I haven't stopped thinking about the ending of that game since I finished it. I can't get it out of my mind.
The atmosphere in that game is so good too, because at times you're just like, is this a horror game? Because like you'll be like,
right,
and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? And then like you find out what it is. Like, yeah.
Yeah, parts of it are it's one of the creepiest games I've ever played, bar none. Oh. But it's not creepy like, like a distorted, creepy nurse with knives for hands is chasing me in an asylum. It's not creepy like that. It's creepy in a whole different way, a very creative and cool way. But yeah, that game's great. It's short and sweet, and I think everyone should play it who's interested in video games and narratives in video games. It's great. And then after that, a little lighter fare, I played and beat, finally, Pilot Wing 64. That game hard. Did you guys play that game when it came out?
No.
It was a launch title for the 64, and if it hadn't been for Super Mario 64, I think it would be one of the most famous Nintendo 64 games. Because of what it does with the 64 architecture is outstanding, but it gets overshadowed so easily by so many other things. It's a cool game. I liked playing it. I wish I would have had the manual because it turns out the different characters have different stats. I kept just choosing the lady with the big boobs because that's funny to me. Nintendo 64 boobs are hilarious. And she sucks at hang gliding. I didn't know that. Well, whatever. And then
probably because the boobs are weighing her down.
That's what I figured. They're too heavy. Those are heavy boobs or something. And then I was playing all that short stuff, just waiting for Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii to come out, and I've played that game hours every day since it came out. I love it so much. I'm 20 hours in, and I'm still in chapter 2. There's too much stuff to do. Just like with Infinite Wealth, I'm thinking I'm never going to beat this game. There's just too much stuff to do. I got to do everything. I got to do all the side stuff. Like it has an entire, very well built Master System emulator in it. With 13 games. You start with 5 and you can acquire the rest of the games throughout the gameplay. Like you buy them at pawn shops or stuff like that. And then you can take them to your hideout and put them in your Master System and play Master System games. And then there's also entire arcade games. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a first person shooter and you're a scuba diver. And it's a game that Sega made in the early 2000s and it has never once had a home release ever. And they got the AM2 architecture and ported it to modern day stuff just to put it inside of a Yakuza game. By the same extension, Daytona USA 2 was originally, it never had a home release until it was in Like a Dragon Gaiden. Well, they decided not enough people played it, so it's in this game too, and it rules. Also, I don't understand the reason it was being held up, and they renamed it Sega Racing Classic 2 because they lost the Daytona license. The theme song is still in it. It still goes, Daytona. It's still in there. So what's the goddamn difference?
You can sing about Daytona. You just can't make a video game about it.
I guess that's true. Maybe it's something to do with the logo. And it's interesting because in the game, you have a little MP3 player and you can buy CDs also at pawn shops or tourist traps or get them in quests or whatever. And you can get the Daytona USA theme. So I'm just like walking around Hawaii, beating up thugs, listening to the Daytona USA theme. And also also music from Sonic Mania and Knights and a bunch of other stuff, like a bunch of Sega properties. You can get the Virtual Fighter and stuff like that. You could buy the music and put it in your little MP3 player and walk around beating dudes up. You're listening to Sonic Mania for some reason. It's great.
Awesome.
And the ship-to-ship combat could have been its own game. So great. It's so much fun. I lost hours. There's a Coliseum where it's just like 1-on-1. Well, usually it's 1-on-3 because you got to fight a fleet. But ship-to-ship combat, and I lost hours just doing that all the time. It's so much fun. I love doing it because it's like in games like Black Flag or whatever the Ubisoft pirate game is. I can't remember the name of.
Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. There's like regular pirate ships, and you got cannons and stuff, right? Well, Yakuza Pirate takes place in modern day. So, there's like little swivel guns that are like the tiny cannons. They got rid of those and they just have machine guns. And you can like get rid of your cannons and get laser guns and like a bunch of stupid bullshit like that, like ice guns and like elemental nonsense. And it just adds a whole bunch to it. It's a lot of fun. But the machine guns is my favorite part because you can have them just front facing and you can just like fire 2 machine guns, like cresting waves and stuff and like rushing at enemy fleets and stuff. It's so much fun. Also, the game's hilarious, and I do have a few problems with it, but I'm gonna hang on to that. I've talked about that game enough. But that's all I've done. I didn't really watch anything. It's just been gaming hard. Lots of gaming. And until I beat Yakuza Pirate, I don't know that I'm gonna have a lot of time to watch anything. That game's too good. Chaz, what about you? What trading card stuff did you do?
Oh, actually, there's quite a bit. Let's get to that here for
I don't doubt
a second.
it.
So I'm going to get to the trading card stuff at the end because I think it'd be cool to talk about that at the end. But so as far as stuff I've been watching, I'm still watching through Invincible season 3. Actually, there's an episode that came out today I haven't watched yet. I need to get to that. It's something I've been excited to talk about since I watched it almost a week ago, and I've not brought anything up. I finally watched the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, as well as Knuckles, which I watched beforehand.
Hell yeah.
Knuckles, I'm not gonna lie, even after you hyped it up a little bit and it like got me encouraged to watch it, I could not have been prepared for how much I enjoyed it.
And it's so much fun. They make so many decisions. It's like, oh, I'm having a great time.
Absolutely, I laughed so much during that. It's great. Yeah, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I almost want to watch it again, and it's just a nice little delightful snack, and it's not super long. It was great.
It builds so well. It's like the stupid bounty hunter is a lot of fun, and then they finally get to Reno, and then Carrie Yules turns up, and you're like, how can this keep outdoing itself?
That's exactly it. Oh man, that whole thing when he first shows up and he's in that stupid all British suit. And
I love it.
He's like grabbing money from people and throwing it everywhere, and he's like the coolest guy that's ever existed in Reno, Nevada. God, the whole thing is just. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a great thing to watch, and then watch Sonic 3 too. And man, Idris Elba just kills it. Like, I love the way they decided to approach Knuckles' character to be like he's effectively their version of Drax from Guardians. He's just like very, very dry, like over the top in terms of I take everything far too seriously. I don't have any understanding of humor. Like it's what he is. But yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed Sonic 3 a lot too. It was very funny. Oh, yeah. And also, so I shouldn't be surprised because Shadow was in it, but they got a bit edgy. But got a bit edgy. The ending was cool though. The live and learn scene near the end of the movies kick ass.
I was in the theater and it started playing. I went, yeah.
I was like, oh fuck yeah, this is so cool. Yeah. It definitely has those vibes. So yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. And I almost want to go back and watch the other 2 movies now because it's been a minute since I watched them. But yeah, enjoyed that a lot. The wife and I finally finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And what's really sad is that show was really fun to watch through again, and they hit a stride between like seasons 3 and 5, and it's just some of the funniest, just as far as like just watching, a comedy TV series about just whatever nonsense. Like it hit such a good stride in that period of time, and then just kind of tapered off, and it just kind of ends, and it's kind of just depressing and sad because they shot the last season like immediately after COVID. And even like some of it deals with that, and it's like, this is kind of let's get away from this. But they found a kind of happy way to end it. But I'm glad we finished that. We just started watching Ghosts because the newest season came out. That show's, again, I'd still recommend it. It's very funny. We were just watching an episode the other night and just like howling, laughing, and woke our daughter up. So enjoy that a lot. As far as video games go, I also played and beat Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. I had gotten it as a Christmas gift, and I had been meaning to try to play it, and my goal was, which I was successful in, I used no warps. I did the thing from you guys remember the old man video, the two guys, and they just say manly things. The one guy's like, I beat Super Mario Bros. No warps. Like, I did that. I did the man thing. So, no cheats. I got through it all. It was fun. It was a good time. And I agree that the game did some pretty clever stuff to just try to make it work for the port that it was on. And then there's like the extra stuff where, what is it? After you finish it, you can like there's like a kind of like a post game like collect the quest. Not really collect a quest. I guess that's not the right way to say it, but like you have other things you can do, right? It's
yeah,
not
you
simple
gotta
as
go
you
back and play each one. Yeah, I did that a little bit, but I got a little bored.
I did too. I played a little, and then it was like, okay, I'm done. But maybe I'll come back to it. I did play and finish BioShock rather quickly, actually. I definitely like am still going to go ahead and take all the points I can for Accelerated Gamer, but I don't think I spent that much time playing it as much as it said for completionists. But I did everything.
Sometimes you can beat it. You can beat the times.
Yeah. I mean, I played the game before. Obviously, like it's not. I mean, it's been more than a decade, but I remember playing it before and when on Xbox forever ago. But yeah, the game is still great. I think it's such an awesome game that it's one of those games I wish I could have the entirety of that game erased from my memory and like have no spoilers for it and play again.
That'd be a good one.
Because I don't think that, I mean, I do remember it and it was great, but I don't think I appreciated it enough. Like I was still just kind of like a dumb college student when I played it. It was like, oh, whatever. I would appreciate that twist a lot more now than I would have then. Mm-hmm. And now all I have to rely on is like, oh, everyone telling me how great it is and how much it affected game and narrative choice. And it's a cool game. I really enjoy that game and its aesthetic. I don't know if I'm going to play the other two because, of course, I got the collection. I mean, I don't know if I want to go back and play Infinite. Infinite's just there's always a lighthouse, right? I don't know.
People keep saying, "Oh, I'm surprised you've never played Infinite. You'd probably like it." And then someone else will say, "Infinite's terrible. You should never play it." So I have no idea what's up with that game.
So okay, I'll give a little because here's how I feel about it. I think the game is fine. The game visually stunning. The story is interesting and then goes. So I wouldn't say stupid. I just think that they tried to go a little too highbrow. I think like it gets a little full of itself because they go down a very weird rabbit hole, and you know how like you get a plot from something, and at first it seems like, oh man, the writing in this seems really smart, but then like there's like very obvious contradictions that are just not explained, and then it's like, oh, this person just had a concept of something but is actually not very smart. So that they couldn't actually back up the thing they're trying to explain. I don't know. That's what it kind of feels like. Like they go down a rabbit hole of sorts with like one of the plot devices. It's a major spoiler for the story. That's why I don't want to dive too much into it. But it's also kind of a very contrived thing to talk about without a little like I don't know.
I know the scene you're talking about because when I saw the scene, I was just like, I played for this. Okay. And like the gameplay, it's okay. It's just BioShock in the sky, essentially. And like the visuals look cool and everything. Your companions, funny at times. But then like when you get to that part that Chaz is talking about, you're just like, so this is a game that just wants to explain everything. Like people are like, well, how did this happen?
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
I always thought the consensus is like at the time people seemed to really like that game, and then as time went on, looking back in hindsight, it became pretty mixed. There's like people that are like, this game's not really that good as everybody thought.
That seems to be the case, yeah.
I think the other thing too is that the gameplay is pretty unfair. Like it sounds kind of dumb to say that, but like for a game where like they make things kind of unnecessary in terms of how difficult it can be in certain waves for a game that you're supposed to just be able to more explore and get for the story. I mean, I guess you could play it at different difficulties to make it more casual if you need to, but that game had some tedium to it for what the story did, and I don't know. There's a little bit of a disconnect from like the overarching story, and then this just massive like pull the rug out from under you. And I think it's more that they were just trying to capture the lightning in a bottle they had with the first game, and it just didn't work out the same way. But I think the game's still fine. Like I've definitely played worse games, and to be honest, like it's something I would consider maybe playing again. But I don't know if I don't know if I have that much investment in me, and I don't want to play Bioshock 2. I just
No one
Bioshock
does.
2 is Bioshock 2 is just really lackluster. It just but the first
It's
one's
not-
a good game I can keep revisiting.
It's not made by the same developers who did 1. That's
No.
why.
Mhm.
It's always amazed me. Bioshock 2 is such an interesting. I don't want to keep talking about Bioshock for this entire episode, but Bioshock 2 is so interesting to me because they were like, you get to play as the Big Daddy. That's what everyone always wanted. And I was like, I never once thought about that.
No, not at all. I didn't care at all about the big. It was a cool thing. It's like I don't want to play as that.
That's what all the normies kept talking about. Look,
I
Big
guess.
Daddy.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna make games for, people with room
Normies.
temperature IQ, it's whatever.
Damn.
Just make another man.
Now that if I think about it, Big Daddy is kind of like Jeffrey Epstein, and he's collecting children. Oh.
Oh, but
Bioshock 4 released the Big Daddy files.
cue the federally funded Rickroll video. If you know, you know. But anyway,
Sorry.
okay. Moving on. I started Control, and that game's a vibe, man. I'm liking it so far.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. I'm not too far into it. I mean, I think like I'm less than a quarter of the way through the game itself. I mean, I've been exploring more and doing more of like the little side things I can find. I like that the game just gives you lots of options for freedom and like the way it's such a weird thing how they managed to put all this stuff in an office building, but also because there's all this paranormal stuff about it, they can get away with that. They found a really cool way to do that. I really appreciate it, and it's like equal parts of a Metroidvania with like a third-person shooter and a horror.
Yeah.
It's the story so far I'm really liking. I'm enjoying it. So far I've really enjoyed it. I will say it's a lot harder than I thought, but I felt like at first it was really difficult, and then once I've unlocked a couple more of the weapons and abilities, I'm starting to feel like unless I'm completely reckless, I'm just unkillable. I don't know if that just continues to get that way. It feels like I'm going to build up to the point that I'm just unstoppable.
It kind of stays that way. You get stronger as stuff scales more, but
Mhm.
there is always that threat of if you get too careless, you'll just get killed.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like. It's like it's unlike with Blood Omen we're going to talk about later. Like I'm not getting to the point that I'm just so overpowered I could never die. Like if I'm careless, I'm still like a piece of glass. Like you get shot a couple times, you just die. You have to still be smart about your positioning and stuff. But you also can just like throw. Like I decided to go the route for like could you like start to get ability points. You can level up and just like get different stats and just like give yourself more health, give yourself more defense, make your melee attack stronger. I went the route of I want to get all the telekinetic powers maxed out so I can just start literally just picking up anyone I want and throwing them around everywhere.
Yep.
And I am just a glass cannon, but I'm also just wrecking shit already because very early in the game I'm doing things I don't think I'm supposed to be able to do. That's kind of fun. I like that. It's cool. So anyway, the game's kicking ass so far. Let's see. Now back to cards. Okay, so I took a small break from Warcana, just a few weeks, but next week the new set comes out, and I got all hype and excited. Yesterday was the first time I played the game in multiple weeks. I got a couple of the testing brews that we had together and tested out some of the new decks, and it was fun. It was good to play the game again. They decided to make dual link cards, so now there are cards that are both colors instead of one color, which with the deck restrictions and stuff, it's kind of created this interesting thing. But just trying to bring something a little more creative to the game itself. Pokemon, a couple things have happened there for me. I played in an event last night. I got second place, which was fun. And I'm still going to keep playing the game, but I've decided my collecting stuff is kind of over with. I actually sold most of my modern collection.
So
I
you did sell it.
I did. I ended up selling. I kept all of my vintage cards, like all the old first edition stuff, all the promos, and I kept all of my Eevee cards. So Eevee specific cards and Evolution. So I still have my Moonbreon. I still have that nonsense, and I think eventually I'll try to get some of the other expensive Eevee cards if I do collect again. That's what I'm going to focus on because that'll just be the thing I get. But I sold my collection and I got quite the large check for it. I was very excited. I can tell you guys after off the air if I need to flout about how much money it was.
You spent it all on Lurkana.
No, I took it to a bank and handed it to the cashier because my wife made me put it in our savings account to be a smart boy. And but the guy wrote in the memo Pokemon collection, and that woman's face when she was like, "You got this much for Pokemon cards? That's crazy!" And she went and grabbed a lady and said, "Look at this check for Pokemon cards." Like I didn't make a big deal about it. It's like, oh God, can I just get out of here? Can we go?
And then you slid another note saying, "Put the big bills in the bag, or everybody gets shot in here." Right?
Yeah. No, I didn't do that. It's like, yep, I love my wife. Here we go. But yeah, I enjoyed getting that money back. And it was nice because for the amount that I had invested in the cards I specifically sold, I'll admit I have spent a lot of money on the vintage stuff, and it's probably money that I'm currently just breaking even or maybe slightly above because those cards really haven't moved at all. But all those modern cards I got when they were much cheaper. Like there are some cards that I made like 1,000% return on for selling them because like they were literally cards that I opened and I paid nothing for, and I sold them for like $400 or $500 each. Like there were multiples of those. It's kind of nuts how the card stuff inflated, and I felt like the bubble got to pop, so it was just a good time to do it. Not to mention some life events changed things, so yeah, I'm sitting on that. So anyway, that was really the biggest thing that happened with that. But I am excited to still keep playing the game. Pokemon Day was today, if anybody was aware. They announced a whole new trailer for the newest game that's coming out. And
the starters.
Yeah, my boy Totodile.
We're getting Totodile for sure.
Hold on, I gotta get him down. My Totodile. I'm so excited.
Totodile is a great choice. Chikorita, okay, whatever. Tepig sucks though. Like, get out of here.
You know what? I'm glad they picked Tepig because fire starters, always get the limelight. So you got my boy Totes here. Totes my goats.
Well, they'll have new special evolutions that are regional or whatever for that game. So maybe they had a really good idea for Tepig. Yeah,
I'm hoping. Maybe they'll do something different there, and it's not firefighting. But because that was always the ongoing joke. Yeah. I kind of like that Chikorita got it because especially in the trading card game, Chikorita gets like the least love of like all of the starter Pokemon. Period.
Well, I always kind of like Chikorita.
Yeah, I do too. Well, in those games, Meganium, it just kind of sucks because that game is so heavy in poison and flying and bug, and Chikorita or Meganium is just weak to all of that. But I guess someone had also speculated in the game when they were showing it off, Chikorita learns a fairy type move that she doesn't know in the other games, so they're thinking that it'll be Grass Fairy.
That would be interesting.
I'm hoping we get like Water Ghost for Alligator. That'd be kind of cool. We'll see. Water Psychic would kind of be neat. But we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, I don't give a shit about Tepig. But I'm excited for that game. They also announced they're bringing Mega Evolutions back into the card game, so I know we're going down this rabbit hole. We're here. I got my minutes. I'm holding the floor.
You're not collecting anymore, though. Who cares?
No, I'm playing the game, though. Still a player. So back in the day, they had these Mega Evolution cards that were just absurd for when the game came out. And they were
X and Y era.
You put your Mega card on your EX card, and it can't attack for a turn, but this card will basically win the game right on the spot, and blah, blah, blah. And they made a Rayquaza that effectively broke the game because it was a basic that was way too big. It didn't deserve to be like a card that couldn't be killed in 3 turns, but it was. So anyway, they decided to bring back these megas, but they just took the stipulation away that it needs, like, literally all they did was, oh no, you can just evolve this like you would any other card, and it can attack the same turn, but it is 3 prizes instead of 2. So we'll just make it like massive, and they keep power scaling. So we're gonna have 400 HP Pokemon in the trading card game.
I don't like that. I don't like that scaling thing where they're like, oh, it's 3 prizes. Yeah, if you can't kill it, who cares?
Right, and I mean, there's in all fairness, there's gonna be things to keep it in check, but it's still kind of ridiculous. But the thing people are really scared of, I don't remember what the Lucario its attacks are, but you can have that Lucario on turn 1 because there's a Riolu in the game that allows you to evolve it the first turn. And you can attack with that Lucario turn 1, so that's going to be potentially disgusting, but I don't know. Anyway, the card game stuff was kind of exciting, though. People love the Mega Evolutions. I mean, that's going to be a cool thing with the ZA anyway. Mega Evolutions were a neat concept. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to play Pokemon stuff again. There's a cup, I think next week that I'll get to go to locally, and hopefully I'll get to play in it. And then rotation's going to happen soon, so there's that whole mess. So yeah, I thought there was another movie that I watched, but honestly, I don't. Oh, I remember what I watched now. I got it. Never mind. There was a video. went down those rabbit holes with those lore videos again, and the guy, I think it's Super Clement J or something like that, or J Clement. He's the guy that made the insane lore of Tekken and the insane lore of Street Fighter videos, where he goes through the nonsense of that. He made an insane lore of Mortal Kombat video. It just came across my feed. I watched it, and it's just as nuts as you think it is. It was great. It was a wonderful watch. Would recommend.
He's an autist, right? It has to be, right?
I don't know. He's just a cool Canadian guy that just loves saying the word fucking with like such the way he says it. It's so enthused.
It's a fucking A? Like
No. He doesn't sound Canadian at all. He sounds like he sounds very proper, but I've never heard anyone enunciate the word fucking so properly as they say it. But you just have to hear it. It's the way he says it. It's just funny to me. But it's great. But anyway, he does these awesome videos. I highly recommend all of them. All of those lore videos about fighting games are great. But the Mortal Kombat one is quite hilarious. It's a great watch. I managed to watch that one, and I even watched the Street Fighter one again. It was as I was organizing cards when I was trying to get the collection stuff ready, and it was just a great thing to listen to while I'm sorting through piles of nonsense. So
I got a week of that coming up. I got new binders, and now I got to redo my whole Pokemon collection.
Oh yeah. It's a time suck. And then like we got a new set coming out in Pokemon within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We've got a new set of Arcana next week. I'm gonna have so much more sorting. That's why I kind of got ahead of myself and resorted everything to hope that would make it easier. So I don't know. Just find more lore videos to watch. Those things are so interesting. But yeah. All right, Dubs, it's all you.
All right, Blood Omen. I will save that for when we talk about it in a couple of weeks.
Did you beat it?
I'm near the end.
Okay.
Cool.
You
get the Soul Reaver.
So I fucking modded the shit out of my emulator for this game so that I could actually fucking play it. Because the GOG one is fucking hard to fucking control. The one on PlayStation Network is good, but it just didn't fit my needs. And then I went on fucking...
So you tried all 3 versions of this game?
Yeah. So that I'll give you a taste of that, of what I'm going to be talking about when we do whatever we name it. We haven't named it yet, which we got to get on before we do it.
You modded it, and now you're just like a monster truck covered in machine guns, right?
Yeah, it's like that Maximum Overdrive movie. You know?
Yeah.
I also did I talk about this last episode? I beat Sonic 2.
No.
I don't remember. Talk about it again. I love Sonic 2.
Yeah, so out of nowhere, I was anxious, and instead of going to my go-to of Zelda Link to the Past, I went to Sonic 2, which made me angry at times because of the hitbox in this and certain enemies. Where like I'm, gotta go fast. I'm going fast, and those drill guys that come out of the wall and fucking like, pop you.
Grounders.
They piss me off to no end. I tried so many versions of me jumping over it, and they still get me every fucking time.
Sometimes you gotta slow down.
I did. I even slowed down and tried to like jump over, but the hitbox still fucking got me.
We talked about it off air a little bit. I think we all agreed Sonic 2 is the hardest of the Genesis Sonic games.
Mm-hmm. It felt like it. At times I was flying, and I noticed that there was, you play the level twice. You go through it once, and then you do a second, and then you do the boss battle of Eggman.
Acts.
And my favorite is the casino. I love the music, and I just the level design I adored. But I also like the one where he's on the plane with tails and shit.
Yeah, so. Sky Patrol, Sky Attack Zone. I don't remember.
But fuck Metal Gear fucking mech guy. Once I knew how, because
the Gundam.
Yeah, the certain thing where he like stops, you get to hit him, but like
he has his little claw fingers out.
Yeah. You just got to figure out the timing. Yeah, once you figure it out, it's like, okay, this is cakewalk. Like we smoked that bad boy on New Year's.
That's what's terrible is if you have patience, you can do it, but you're gonna use a big chunk of that 10 minutes doing it, and plus it pisses you off because it takes more than 8 hits, which every other boss in the game takes 8 hits. It takes 12, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's 12 or 16.
Yeah, but so I beat that, and I was like, I'm kind of hungry for Sonic, so I might go to Sonic 1, Sonic 3.
This is the year of Sonic in Accelerated Gamer. I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah!
So those are the only 2 games I played because I want to put more attention to Blood Omen because I do have notes that I'm going to be talking about. And Sonic 2 is just more of like a spur of the moment, but I re-upped my Nintendo thing, so that's why I played it. So 64 games on there is cool.
That's how I played Violet Wings.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny that they have 2 versions of the 64 thing. One that
because the mature. Ooh.
Yeah. I'm just like, ooh, like so edgy. Jesus Christ.
I was thinking I might play Turok this year. I'm thinking I've never beat Turok before. I'd like to do it once.
Mm-hmm. On my Steam Deck, I have Doom 64. So I played a little bit of that.
The game ends.
That game is fucking cool. I've never played it before, so like,
great.
Yeah, it's a real good game. I
just
might
like another Doom.
Yeah.
But I never played it before.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people skipped that one.
A lot of people made assumptions about it, including myself. And when I played it, I don't know, 2 or 3. It might have been 2016 because they re-released it right before Doom 2016 came out. They made a big deal about it. It was around then, and I was like, "Holy shit, this game is great! It's like a whole different thing." I guess the one on the PlayStation is kind of its own thing in parts too of final something, but it has unique levels or something. It's on my radar, but it's not as accessible.
I think a lot of people just assumed it's just another port of Doom for N64 back then.
They should have called it something else, like Doom Phobos Experiments or something.
Yeah, some kind of subtitle.
Yeah, as a kid, I didn't really mind the whole like every fucking game needs to be 64. But as an adult, I'm just like, this is stupid. Like, every game has to be called 64.
Except for that one that's like 63 and a half.
Clay Fighter 63 and a half, yeah.
That Clay Fighter 63 and a half.
Well, everything before that was Super.
Yeah.
Super Mario Kart, super shit suckers.
Well, I had a triggering moment because I was playing Street Fighter 2, and I was just like, man, it took a real fucking long time for Capcom to come out with Street Fighter 3. And that fucking triggered me to the point where I was just like, God damn it. like I love Street Fighter, but like keep on doing like the super duper fucking Street Fighter 2, kiss your mother's ass in the fucking bunghole like edition. It's just like I get it. Like you're trying to like milk it and like add more character stuff. Like they were doing fucking DLC before DLC was a fucking thing, essentially. With these
got-
whole new games.
They
yeah.
got distracted a lot in the mid '90s with
There-
different series too.
Well, that was So there's like a lot of interesting stuff that happens there, though. Yeah, because like Street Fighter is one of those weird games where they continued on with the numbering, but really every game after 3 is almost like 4 or 5. Like they're actually one up from that because the whole Alpha series is like this continuation of one like set of games that they just like threw in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Not to mention like Street Fighter 2 in itself has an interesting backstory where they were kind of done making it and they didn't even know if they were going to do anything else. And like the alpha project was kind of there, but then so many fans were figuring out how to mod, and like if that didn't
Street
happen,
Fighter Rainbow.
if there wasn't
was one
all
of
the
the
passion,
originals.
to like make, if the fans didn't do that, they wouldn't have like tried to discover, oh, we can do these combos. Like that's literally like one of these things that revolutionized fighting games because Mortal Kombat hadn't gotten it. They went down like the shock value of I have special abilities and I'll do these fatality things, but it was still just like smash and like, hit these very basic functions. Like the combo things didn't exist yet, but in Street Fighter they were forming the basis of okay, I can actually chain certain moves into other things, and that's what led them to say, okay, people care more about the details. We can do better, and that's why they made reiterations of those games when they started making like hyper fighting, and then they made Super Street Fighter 2 to add on to that, and then it became bigger than what they expected, and it was great. Like fighting games wouldn't exist if that type of growth didn't happen. So I wouldn't necessarily blame it on like a cash grab. It very much so now those types of things might be that, but they were like trying to make better versions of those games. Whereas like as opposed to Street Fighter 5, like they know what works and they're like, no, we'll just give you 4 characters and you can buy the rest individually later.
It's
Yeah,
like when
fuck you.
David Fincher like released the movie fucking Seven like 20,000 times because they're trying to get the color down, essentially.
Yeah, what's in the box?
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the games I played. Street Fighter 2, I just like I out of the whim, I was just like I need to beat someone up, and I was Bison and I was fucking shit up. So
Yeah, Psycho Crusher.
as far as me watching things, I've been watching a lot of DDP yoga with Lex Luger, and I made a joke and then getting some color chat. I'm just like, he's about to step off the Forever Lex Express, meaning his wheelchair, because he's doing like these exercises where he has to like get up on his own, and now he's like actually standing up on his own, and it's actually kind of cool. What's annoying me is the comments that I've been seeing is like he killed Miss Elizabeth, and I'm like, she had the choice to not take drugs. Like maybe he did influence her in some way, and maybe he didn't call the paramedics at a reasonable time. But to blame him fully for the fucking like they treat him like Chris Benoit essentially, like for killing. Or not killing, but Miss Elizabeth dying and stuff, and that annoyed me, because me and Chaz, you were part of watching Lex when he had it, that promo of him sitting down talking about steroids, MK Ultra, fucking Lex Luger, but like. On our show, Getting Some Color, he's actually part of my boys now. Like I'm actually fond of Lex Luger, even though he's funny in the ring. He's like ha and stuff, and just seeing him like look happy that he's actually getting better is actually making me happy, because it's actually pretty cool. And DDP, man, he needs to be more in the Hall of Fame in WWE. He's been helping a lot of superstars. He helped out Jake the Snake, Scott Hall when he was having his alcohol problems when he was alive. Now Lex Luger, and there's other people that he helps out. DDP has a huge ass heart, and I also watched his interview with the Undertaker, his little podcast that he has going on.
His little podcast.
Yeah, but it's so funny because it's like. every wrestler that has their own podcast, there's always this young producer person that's helping them out, like a YouTuber essentially. And like Undertaker has his own like young dude there that's like producing and moving the conversation along.
It's his young boy.
Yeah, and Undertaker just fucking like just chimes in at times, and I'm just like, it's kind of the Undertaker's podcast, I guess. But it's really cool to like, you know, see DDP and Taker talk because I don't. The only time they wrestled, I believe, when he was Mark Calloway in WCW, right?
No, in the Invasion, DDP was there.
Oh,
That's when he
yeah.
was doing the stalker thing.
Oh yeah, that's so fucking lame.
Stalking his wife. Yeah, that actually sucked ass.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about that is his explanation for like why he didn't want to do it. DDP's. He was like, Vince, have you seen my wife? Why would I stalk anybody's wife? He's talking to, I mean, his wife Kimberly back then, yeah, she was pretty hot, honestly. So it's like, yeah, it's a fair point, but they still wanted him to do this dumb gimmick. Like, he did it.
Yeah. So I've been watching that. I've been watching a lot of Tim Rogers Friday streams of him just talking. What was this announcement, by the way?
Oh, did you not get to see the announcement?
No, I didn't get to see it.
Oh man, it's a lot to get into here on the show, but basically, he's written a lot of things like short stories, and I guess he wrote a novel at some point. And in the novel, the character's name is Tim. He's like writing it from the first person, but it's stuff he's making up. But in the story, I can't remember. It's either he murders someone or sexually assaults someone or like commits a crime.
Okay.
And his detractors, his haters were like being like, this is a confession. He's a criminal or whatever. Like someone put it on Internet Archive and was like, I used to like this guy. And now I see he's a criminal. Here's this confession. Which is that is the appropriate reaction. But basically, he came on and said, "Look, I wrote a bunch of stuff, and they are full of lies." Like, and it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, you were writing short stories. I didn't think they were all autobiographical. Like, I don't know. I thought it went without saying, but he had to say it. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, because fucking there's retards online.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think in particular, I saw someone on Reddit point this out, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Like, he has a personality that seems to attract this toxic parasocial relationship even more so than other personas.
Well, then you also get the other retards that go like the DEI and woke shit, and because he was part of Kotaku, they were just like,
sure.
He's a liberal.
Some of them hate him based on that, but yeah, I guess there's like a cabal of Tim haters out there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So I've been watching that. I'm trying to think like show wise. I've been watching Severance. I still highly recommend that show. Even if I would actually, if you want to binge it, because I know there's like free trials out there that you have like 7 days. And you can binge it probably in a week if both seasons. It's really, really good. Like the first season, I was like, how are they going to take this? I do love the gimmick of like the two sets of people that with the chip, but there's all other stuff about the company where you're just like, what is this company about? And like that's what we're getting in season 2. And even me as like a writer, I'm just like, I would never fucking think of this shit. It's that good. Yeah, and I've also been watching more WWE and more TNA. TNA is because TNA is partnering with WWE now. I'm convinced there's some type of like WWE owns TNA in some way because everything is mixing together now. Like Santino Marella comes out with his little badge and fucking NXT and stuff. Zach posted it. I don't know if it was in Getting Some Color or Big Trouble Facebook Messenger, but he's like saying every fucking name wrong, just like how he used to do in the old days of WWE, and it's hilarious. And his daughter's hot, by the way. I just want to point that out. But yeah, I've been watching that, but That's all I've been doing. I'm actually off on Elimination Chamber Day, so I might watch Elimination Chamber because I want to see who wins the chamber. I don't know what's going to happen because everybody's being fucking pansy ass fuckers.
What are the stakes for Elimination Chamber again?
You get a main event shot. So, like, essentially, Jey Uso challenged Gunther for the
that
title.
guy rules.
I know, it's just the name. I love the name.
He used to be Walter.
Yeah. And Elimination Chamber, Cody Rhodes would be whoever wins will face Cody Rhodes, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's going to be John Cena, because John Cena did like a serious press conference. He's like, I'm going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. And then like CM Punk is saying the same thing. And Seth Rollins is in the chamber with CM Punk. So I think there's going to be some fuckery going on in there.
Well, also, more importantly, John Cena basically pulled rank to get in that match. He didn't have to qualify for it.
Yeah.
He just said, I'm going to be in it. And they put him in it. So,
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny about that is John's never done that in wrestling, in the canon of wrestling before, but he did it there. So that's making people wonder, like, what's going on with John?
Yeah. And The Rock is doing some weird shit where he came out and told Cody Rhodes that he wants his soul. And he wants to like Cody Rhodes to be his champion. So people are thinking that he's going to become like how Stone Cold was the corporate champion for Vince McMahon, essentially.
Or like The Rock was the corporate champion for Vince before.
Yeah. So they're thinking that's going to happen. So I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is what's going to happen. And that makes me happy because I don't want to know what happens when I watch wrestling.
Cool. So normal stuff.
Yeah, you're not like the 3% of people online bitching about how they don't know what's going to happen and how it's like terrible right now.
Yeah, like WrestleMania 41 is so stupid. Like Jey Uso, come on, this is not as big as 40. Go fuck yourself, man. Let's just let the story fucking cook.
Let it cook.
Yeah,
we gotta cook.
Yeah, because you know what the Rock is cooking. Anyway, that's all I've done. Zach, what about you?
Okay. I did a few things. Also, I just want to say, if it seems like we're like just dumping a lot of stuff we've done, it's because I'm going to reveal. We didn't record for almost a week and a half. This is a reveal. we basically skipped a week and a few days.
It was an act of God.
Yeah, an act of God flooded the area I was in. I'm fine. All my things are fine. Nothing bad happened to us, but I got trapped for a day. And then I had no power. There was no power here for like basically 3 days. But yeah, everything's fine now. While I was knocked out of power, we did have a generator, and I managed to watch. We had very few things to pick from to be able to watch stuff here because nobody has physical media. Man, if this happened at my house, we had all kinds of things to watch.
Been set.
But my dad had Game of Thrones season 1 on his little like flash drive thing, and we watched it. We watched the whole Game of Thrones season 1.
Fair enough.
It was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I know that it doesn't end great, but that just seems to be something that happens to a lot of TV shows anyway.
You could blame it on the fucking author for not finishing the fucking last book.
And he's still not, the lazy fuck. Like, come on.
Piece of shit.
People were complaining about that when the show was running, and now it's like we're several years removed from that. And he still isn't done. He's probably going to die before it finishes.
Yeah, he's not going to finish them. Yeah.
But I think I'll continue watching it, I guess. I'm not sure yet. But I also watched Smile and Smile 2. Smile
they made a second one?
Yeah, they did. They made a second one not too long ago.
Oh my god.
Now listen, it's funny because like I caught a little bit of the first Smile like a couple years ago when it was new. Like I walked in, somebody in my house was watching it. I was like, oh, okay. It seems like kind of a dumb, bad movie. But after I watched the whole thing, I had like this weird like reaction to it where I was like, this feels like a 2000s horror movie. And you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? How like 2000s horror movies had like this certain like texture and feel to them, and the way they did things, and what the story kind of is, like what the gimmick is for like what the horror is that's happening in it. Typically, it had something to do with like, I call it chain hauntings because I don't know what else to call it. Where like something happens to somebody and it's like it systematically eliminates a bunch of people. It's not like a serial killer. It's like something else. It's a scary Polaroid camera, or they watched a videotape. I know that's The Ring, but it's like it's a similar thing.
Yeah.
This one it's a demon, I guess, and it torments somebody basically until they kill themselves. And what happens though is whoever witnesses that suicide, it's on them now. So, like that's the thing. And the thing is like you see people doing a creepy smile at you and shit. And like sometimes it's unnerving, sometimes it's a little silly. It just depends on what's going on. But I got done with that movie and I was like, it wasn't that bad actually. But it felt like somebody liked those kinds of movies and tried to make one, and they made like kind of a decent one. If there was any complaint about it, I guess it would be that I think it took itself a little too seriously.
Yeah,
and it didn't fully embrace like the fucking insanity of it. And that's what Smile 2 did. It's like he made a sequel. The same guy made a sequel to his movie, so it's still like the same creative and stuff. And in that one, he like fully embraced the craziness and like the ridiculousness of the premise and all that. And it was a better movie. It's actually pretty good, I think. I forgot Naomi Scott. She's like the main actress in it. She does a great job in that movie of just like making you think this person's like having panic attacks, and there's all these real close up shots to like her face and stuff, and she's like acting her ass off in that movie, really. Continuing this trend of watching like borderline weird, you could call this trash or not. I watched Final Destination 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
Andy's making a face. But like,
I'm a little surprised as well.
I mean, you really went down like a rabbit hole.
I just do this randomly when it's like not, Halloween time or something. I just like, I'm always watching horror movies every once in a while.
I still remember the scene. I don't remember. It might have been the first movie where they were on the plane and shit, and like they like one. They like revealed like I don't know like some type of pattern like death is following these people, and I was like, that's stupid.
That's stupid. But like I watched the first one and like I was prepared to like hate it and everything, but when I got done with it, I was like, that was actually okay, because it goes with like something I say when I talk about horror movies a lot is on some level, if you get into that genre, you have to accept a certain level of stupidity or like just trash to fully and really get a lot of enjoyment out of the genre.
You have to just decide, like, don't think too much about it. You're going to get a little bit of hokey. If you're not okay with that, then just watch something else.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to overthink every fucking movie you watch.
Mm-hmm.
But like this was like, to me, it kind of hit this weird zone where it was like it's very much a year 2000 movie. And there's stuff in it that's like kind of nostalgic to me and other things. And it all kind of came together. And it wasn't the characters and everything. And that's something I'm afraid of about 2000s horror movies, is that's like when all the characters and everything were usually really dumb and obnoxious and you didn't like anybody. They weren't that bad in it. There was one guy that was kind of an asshole, like to a degree, like how do you explain why this guy is such a dick? And some kind of meh acting in it, especially the main actor. I don't know what his deal was, but he'd always make this weird face. Like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but he does it a lot. Every time it got to a point where I started laughing at it every time it would happen. But yeah, it was okay. It was like a weird disaster horror movie thing. But then like Final Destination 2 is like, that's actually like what I'm talking about, like shitty aughts horror movies. That's what that is. It was like where I said like, oh, Smile 2, they embraced the weirdness and it got better. This like went in this other direction where it's like they tried to over-explain the death, the chain death ghost that kills everybody. They tried to over-explain it too much, and they tried to get fancy. And it's so stupid. It's the second one's even dumber. If you're talking about that scene where he draws the little map.
Are you ready for Final Destination Bloodlines? I'm putting my fingers.
Yes, I'm gonna. Basically, I guess I'm gonna watch all these unless like I get like really discouraged and like I end up not liking it. Because this is the thing, this movie sucks, but I laughed so much when I was watching it. So like it's one of those where it's like this is a fucking bad movie. It's stupid as hell, but it's really entertaining watching these people like die in these ridiculous, contrived, random ways.
Yeah, I mean it gives you the excuse to watch that, which is what people want to see, right? They want some jarring, ridiculous way to die.
Or I'm laughing at like these insane leaps of logic they make trying to explain the death ghost that kills them. Like that shit makes me laugh too. So like I enjoy the movie ironically. It's bad though. I watched Nosferatu because it was just one day it was on Peacock all of a sudden. It's like, oh my, it's here! I can watch it now. I didn't get to watch it. I didn't get to watch it in theaters at the time. It was great. That's probably my favorite adaptation of that now is that Robert Eggers. I read something where like he said he was watching like Batman Returns like before he started the production of that movie, and he was like he saw the way like the color grading and stuff was in it. He's like, I want to do that. And so apparently that kind of influenced him how that movie kind of looks a little bit. That was cool though. I saw it. It's just a new version of Nosferatu, but it's like really good, and he does it like in his way and everything. He makes Count Orlok creepy again, but in a different way. And that's I guess that's all I want to say about it because I think I'd rather have other people just watch it. Check it out for sure.
Cool.
I read a comic. I read Batman Earth 1. I finished that whole book.
Earth 1.
Yeah. Dubs got it for me for Christmas, I think.
The Earth 1.
And yeah, it was pretty cool actually. It's interesting because like it's one of those deals where they just flip around some things and change certain characters a little bit to just make the situation feel different. Like Alfred is like not a fucking butler in this, just a butler. He apparently did like mercenary work and shit, and he's like kind of like an asshole in Earth 1. And I don't know. There's the Dent. There's like not Harvey Dent. There's twins, and he has a sister, and that's like a whole thing. Some other minor things here and there. I think my favorite thing was like what they did with Harvey Bullock in that. Where it's like he first shows up and he's like apparently some guy who used to do a cop show, and he like out in California, like so he was a TV personality, a fake cop, and he came out to Gotham to be a real cop. And when he first gets hilarious, the way they draw him, he looks nothing like what you think Bullock's going to look like. He honestly looks kind of like Christian Bale in American Psycho. He even does that fake ass smile. It's funny. It's like I was like, this guy was watching American Psycho when he drew Bullock like this. But then some shit goes down, and it like mentally breaks him, and he becomes an alcoholic, and his appearance just gradually gets more disheveled and fucked up over time.
And he becomes Bullock. Oh, that's great. If the reality of it breaks him, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I think the thing I noticed most about it, though, when I was reading this, because this started in 2015, this little off and on again series, is I think the people that made the Batman movie took some inspiration from it, especially in like how his outfit looks, that weird cowl he has. I think they read Earth 1, thought some of the shit in that was pretty good, because like the Alfred in it's kind of like he kind of reminds me of the Alfred in Earth 1 too.
Yeah, and the Riddler.
The Riddler.
Yeah, because Riddler in the comic is like fucking psychopath, and he does riddles and stuff as well. And
I would hope so.
In the Batman, obviously he has people doing his dirty deeds essentially, but in the comic he's like fucking he's just like fucking murdering people. It's kind of crazy.
He kills a lot of people in that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for reading, that's all I did. And then I played some games. I'll start with this one. I started Fire Emblem Engage on my Switch because I couldn't keep playing Zelda because I couldn't access my guide anymore while the power was out. And I've had this game for a while. I just haven't started it yet. But this it's pretty good, I think. They do this thing where, I guess if you're a longtime fan of this series, they have this gimmick called emblem rings. And what it is like basically everybody gets a ring and they get like the summoned help of like basically a main character from an old Fire Emblem game. So, and all these characters are like the protagonists from like old Fire Emblem games that you get these rings for. And they help power your character up and stuff. And they can go Super Saiyan for 3 turns and then they lose it. That's kind of neat, especially if you're like more of a long-term fan for the series. But I'm noticing when I'm playing it, I'm not feeling that spark as much from this one. Something about the whole combination of like the aesthetic and some of the characters and the way they're written and some other things, just it's not hitting the same way that some of the previous ones do for me. I'm gonna finish it though. Like, what was the last one I played? I think it was the Sacred Stones for Game Boy Advance, the second one. I finished that one a couple of years ago now, and it's like I was way more into beating that game than I am this one. It's kind of interesting. Then I beat Zelda. I don't think I beat it the last time we recorded. It's pretty good. I mean, I see why it was kind of a big deal when it came out, because it's like, I know they weren't thinking this when they were making the game, but it's kind of like adventure finally got fully realized in a video game, really. To me, that's how I see it. I'm like, oh, it's like it's like adventure, but they did it. They actually did it. Goddamn, I don't know how anybody figured any of this stuff out though before guides. That was
Nintendo Power and the Playground.
Yeah, Nintendo Power and Playgrounds, pretty much. Like, because it's like I couldn't figure any shit out almost. I was completely in the dark. I had to use a guide to actually play it, pretty much. I thought it was pretty good though. It is what it is. I wasn't there when it came out. I don't think it's nearly as good a game as a lot of other people do. But whatever. I'm going to keep playing, though, because it didn't make me mad, and I did enjoy it. So I'll move on to whatever one I'm going to move on to next. Then I played and beat Elysia Dragoon. It's an old, semi-obscure Sega Genesis game where you play as a hot girl sorceress who shoots lightning bolts. She has like familiars that help her kill guys.
Cool game.
It's a cool game. It's got good music and stuff, and it's just kind of hard. It's a toughie. You gotta, especially the last boss is a pain in the ass. You gotta I had to retry that last boss I don't know, 7 times or something before I beat it. But I did do it. That's it. It's everything I did.
All right.
That's everything. I mean, don't forget to watch Amadeus. We're going to talk about it next week, and we're going to talk about more of the stuff we did. Make sure you follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Like and subscribe on YouTube if you want to watch the glorious video version. You'll get everything ahead of time. It'll have a little less, spit and polish on it, but hey, you get to see our beautiful faces. It's pretty rad. Yeah, sorry. I spaced out there for a second. I'm very tired. I'm sorry. It's been a long week for me. But yeah, we'll see you here next week for Amadeus.